What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a great day out there. Guys, we're going to just do a little shop time video. Kind of, I like putting together a video occasionally, updating on you guys what I'm working on, what's been broken, and maybe a few little updates to a few different cars. So, first thing we're going to go over is the Techno. Thought I had this thing fixed, and I was playing around with it on the bench for a moment, and I found this. So I had pulled the Techno off the bench for a moment, was just kind of checking over some screws, making sure everything was tight. And I was going to go over the differentials real quick just to make sure all the fluids were good in them. And I was kind of wheeling the car back and forth on the mat for a second, and all of a sudden it started binding and doing something weird, and I found this. Check this out. Now, I don't know if this happened at the same time my whole center diff blew apart, or if they're correlated at all. But as you can see, missing like 3-4 teeth off of my input spur gear here. Now, the diff itself doesn't look too bad. I looked over all the teeth. They look pretty good, but I did get a brand new set of both, just in case. I think I'm going to change this gear out anyway and just keep this one as a backup spare. But yeah, so it also destroyed the rear diff on this thing. So I got the back end pulled off it. The parts just showed up here today. I'm going to go ahead, get the rear put back together on this thing, and hopefully she's 100% now. Now I have the rear diff completely rebuilt. The center diff completely rebuilt. The front feels nice and smooth. Doesn't feel anything weird on there. So I'm going to leave that alone and just, hope that there's nothing else weird going on there. Usually the front disc, you can tell pretty quickly, under braking that they're clicking. But we're going to get this thing rebuilt. And also, we're going to go over this, which I am not looking forward to. Not a big fan of these. These are the 8S, the Creighton 8S and the Outcast 8S front differentials, or the rears, the diff cases. On both of mine, on the Outcast and the Creighton, the front screws have pulled out of the differential cases. I hardly ever have a problem with the rears. It's always the front diff cases. The screws rip out of them. So today we're going to work on at least getting one of these fixed back up again and replacing the front diff cases. Maybe both of them. I probably won't do both of them on video, but we'll show you kind of along the way on replacing those because they're not as easy as the 6S line. Also, you guys might see that down there. Pull that down and show it to you real quick. So some of you guys may have seen the post I put up on the community post, but I decided to put together a new body for the infraction finally. You guys know this car has seen some things. It's definitely not intended for launching off vert ramps and everything else, but I decided to paint a new body for the infraction. Painted it solid white, got a set of yellow rims on there right now. This thing has just been a blast, but I'm really digging the white. It looks pretty sharp like this. I will be changing out the wheels again to the solid rubber. The Westlaws, the Vipaz, I can't remember how you pronounce it. M2C Racing carries the tires. They are the solid rubber tires I've been running on here. They've been holding up awesome, but on the last bash with this, I actually busted the rim. So, unfortunately, I got to get another set. But what do you guys see of the infraction? I think it looks pretty good white. But anyway, guys, first we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get the Techno fixed up here, and I'll bring you guys back. Before we get the Techno fixed up, I wanted to show you guys real quick the M2C jackhammer here, which used to be the Traxxas sledge. I finally went over this thing, a few other little things. On the last bash, thing performed awesome. However, I had one thing when I was cleaning this thing up I realized. The front center brace on these, the plastic one, snapped on me again. Now, I ordered this one off of Amazon. It was like 23 bucks. It was pretty cheap. But it looks pretty nice. It is a multi-piece design. You mount the front piece up here first, and then you mount the main brace down. It comes with a little hardware. It looks really nice. Aluminum looks good. We're going to test it out, see how it runs. Hopefully, I don't have any problems with this. If I do, I'll probably end up getting a trio one. But I wanted to test this thing out and see if it was pretty good. Fitment went together great, so happy with that part. But the rest of the sledge is the jackhammer. See, I still call this thing the sledge. But the rest of the jackhammer is in awesome shape. The only thing I'm waiting for is a body. And there is one on the way from Basher Bodies, the new body he put together for this. I'm excited to get that and not have to replace this body anymore. So that'll be great. Like I said, guys, Basher Bodies is putting together an actual body for the jackhammer and for the Creighton XL. So any of you guys that have these cars know the pain of the body, because obviously the longer wheelbase, you get a lot of flex and the bodies just destroy themselves. So I'm really happy that Basher Bodies is finally putting together a nice body for these things. But anyway, guys, enough yakking. Let's get this Techno fixed up, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, well, we got the rear diff all back in the Techno here. I'm ready to bolt it back up to the car. And don't do what I just did. I had it almost all together, And then I forgot the tiny little shim that goes on this side of the gear. So when it goes in the case, it is shimmed slightly in tight towards your ring gear. So don't forget the shim that goes on here. Don't pull a me. All right, we got the Techno all fixed up and ready to roll again. As you can see, I got the new, well, not new, but the backflip LPs on here, the 4S backflips. I've been running the track tires on it, but they definitely did not have enough air control. So when you get these on there, Techno's got a whole new center diff, along with the center diff cage and a whole new rear diff. Checked everything else over. Everything feels nice and butter smooth in here. So hopefully she's ready to roll again. Can't wait to take this thing out with the LPs on here. She got so much better air control and everything on it, but the track tires handle really nice, so it's kind of a toss-up, but definitely needs some air control. But Techno's all fixed up and ready to roll again. One other thing I recently did, guys, every summer I try to go through all of my cars at least once and go over all of the diffs. Just the other day I went through all the center diffs on all of my 6S cars, went through, refilled them, cleaned everything out, made sure everything was good, went over the Typhon, did all the diffs on the Typhon because I'm trying to get that thing as smooth as possible because we're putting a set of street tires on that thing. And I'm going to gear it to probably, you know, around the 85, 90 mile an hour mark. And we're going to see what kind of distances we can get with that. But everything except the jackhammer at the moment is just waiting for a body. But everything else is pretty much ready to roll. But we're going to get the 8S monsters fixed up here and get the front diff cases changed out. But yeah, just make sure you keep an eye on those diffs, your front, your rears, your centers. Make sure all the fluids are changed in those things at least once a year. It's definitely good to get that old fluid out of there, get some fresh stuff in there, and go over them because, you know, little things like that can end your bash days early, and we don't want that, right? All right, guys, we're going to put the Techno back up on the shelf and bust out probably the Creighton 8S first and get that one fixed up. Did I mention I'm not looking forward to this? I don't know what it is about tearing the front ends off these Creighton S. They're not terrible, but the cars just, they're big and heavy and not as easy to throw around as the 6S cars. But anyway, also one other thing on the last bash I had out with this thing, guys, and you guys that watched that video, I had issues with my ESC connectors coming from my motor. I placed all the bullets. I soldered all new bullets on here. So now these are not coming out. And I also replaced this center brace body cage because the screws ripped out of that. So I got that changed out, got the ESC and motor fixed up. Now we got to get a new bulkhead in here because as you guys can see, I got some odd screws in here and they're all pulling out. So this is one of the downfalls. At some point, I got to put aluminum diff cases on this thing, but I just haven't bit the bullet yet for, they're 140, 160 bucks for a different aluminum differential cage or differential case. For each end. So you're looking at, you know, over $300 to put aluminum diffs on this thing. And I just haven't decided yet what I'm doing with these cars, but I want to get them fixed up in 100%. So I'm going to get working on this thing. I'll bring you guys maybe once I get this thing all torn apart and show you the process a little bit, but I won't bore you too much. All right, well, I figured I'd bring you back real quick. I just got the front diff case dropped out of here. There's quite a number of screws. Like I said, this isn't terrible, but it's definitely not my most fun thing to do, replacing the diff cases on these. Yeah, I do all the screws. It seems this has been the easiest way I find to do it so far, is by leaving all that intact and just pulling the screws and dropping it out of there. You got to wiggle the steering arms up off the post here, which you got to transfer these posts over from your old one to your new one, obviously. But I'm going to go ahead and get the diff pulled out of this case, get it transferred over to the new case, get it back to this point, get her in there, and I'll bring you guys back whenever she's kind of whole again. Also, a small tip, if you're changing these things out and having to pull off these little snap rings, I think that's what they're called, they give you one of these with the kit. Just throw that in the trash and do yourself a big favor and go get yourself a real set of snap ring pliers, because all you're going to do is really irritate yourself trying to use those because they're plastic, they bend, and they're really hard to get off because these little rings, without the right tool, can really fight you. All right, guys, well, she's all back together again. Maybe I whined a little too much about doing these. They're really not that bad. There's a few screws, but changing the diff cases out aren't terrible. And luckily, you know, I got these a whole set of diff cases for the front and rear for both cars for 20 bucks on eBay. So they're not that expensive. I need to bite the bullet and just get the aluminum ones, but like I said, I don't know what I'm doing with this cars yet. But she's ready to go back together again. And like I said, I also got some regular maintenance done to all the other cars. Got differential fluids changed, center diff fluids changed. I also changed out a bunch of the bearings on the V1 Creighton and a couple on the V2 Creighton. A couple of the back ones were getting kind of nasty and seized up. Also changed out the bearings on the Typhon and also on the Italian. And I also put on the Italian the +5 wheel hexes from M2C Racing because, as you guys can see, it was rubbing here on the A-arm. So got rid of that. They don't hit anymore, which is great. So, and gave a little more width, a little more stability. So I'm excited to take that car out too. But let's go ahead and finish up the Creighton 8S here, get this thing fully back together again. And we're probably going to call it a day. I'll do the Outcast 8S off video. We don't need to see it twice, right? So we're going to get this finished up and I'll bring you guys back. All right, boys and girls. Well, the Outcast 8S is back together in all her glory. We got the ESC wires fixed on this thing, so they won't be popping out anymore. Got a new front bulkhead in here. I checked over everything else on here, and everything's nice and tight. Feels good, so she should be ready for her next bash. I'm going to throw the body on here, and I'm going to go ahead and work off camera on the Outcast 8S and get that one changed out. And pretty much the rest of the fleet is ready to rock and roll. So I hope you all enjoyed the little shop time video today. And if you guys do, drop a comment down below. I put these together because some people were saying that they like little shop videos. So if you guys do enjoy them, make sure you drop a comment down below and let me know. I'll keep going. I'll keep putting them together if you guys like them. But that's going to do it for today, guys. So until next time, y'all be safe. Be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.